Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and a couple of spicy topics to run through today. A few days ago we talked about this whole Cellium snaking debacle that happened with the Atlanta FaZe squad. The fact that, okay, Cellium was snaking in these matches, the guys on the Paris Legion decided to do it back to them, and some of the pros were very frustrated with the whole situation as it stands right now, with people abusing this mechanic within the game. So pretty interesting stuff comes out last night from Clayster on the flank, which is like Zuma and Ben Nassim do this kind of podcast after the matches conclude, talking about exactly how, well, Simp supposedly has been telling Cellium, like, look, stop doing this, but he still does it regardless, and well, that puts the pros in a pretty difficult situation. Enjoy, take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new, as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let us hop into things then. So I wanted to go through some stats first of all, because the first thing I wanted to touch on was the Florida Mutineers. We looked at earlier today, they are bottom of their Group B, not where I expected them to be given the talent on this team and how good they were looking supposedly in the pre-season, and clearly they still have the ability. I mean, they've been mixing it up with some of the best teams, but have just fallen short in some key series and in some key moments. This is overall KD. We'll probably have to talk about who the best players in the game are over the coming days, but certainly this gives a pretty decent picture of who they are. Huke's got to be up there, Clay's got to be up there, Simp's got to be up there, Dashy's probably up there. I mean, Seam as well right here as well. Definitely deserving of a mention in terms of overall KD so far this season. Slayer rating is actually really interesting statistics. The way this is calculated is how many kills do you get in 10 minutes of hardpoint, times that by 2 for the 2 hardpoints in a series. How many kills do you get in 10 minutes of control, times that by 1, so just have it as it is, and then how many kills do you get per round of search and destroy, times that by 22 for 2 round 11 search and destroys. Add those all together and you get the number of kills expected in a full series based on current performance, and Huke is dropping 96 on average in terms of Slayer rating. That's pretty remarkable stuff. Some big numbers up here as well, but Huke absolutely out of control. Clay is definitely deserving of a mention as well, and well, Awakening at almost 90, he's got to be the one we're talking about right here, because in search and destroy as of late, Awakening has been absolutely killing it. S&D kill per round, he's averaging over a 1 kill per round. Nobody else is doing that in the entire league right now. Then we've got percentage of rounds with a kill. Dashy has 64% of rounds with a kill, which is crazy, but Awakening right here was 64 as well, just below him. And then we look at percentage of rounds with multi-kills. I mean, like, Dashy isn't even on this list. He's getting 1 kill, but not getting too much more. Awakening in 34% of rounds is getting 2 or more kills. I mean, that is just ridiculous, so far above and beyond the rest of the league. But, well, yet, Florida Mutineers' record in terms of search and destroy is not actually particularly good. You go on Breaking Point right here and you can find that, okay, S&D killed KD leaders, Awakening with a 1.7, kill per round leaders with a 1.09, First Blood leaders, it's Awakening once again. You would be looking at Florida Mutineers and saying, wow, clearly their search and destroy is very good indeed if Awakening is putting up these type of numbers. But that is not the case at all. In fact, their search and destroy has been pretty poor, all things considered, and I thought this was pretty interesting from Envoy that he tweets out yesterday. After Envoy and co of the OpTic Chicago beat the Florida Mutineers, they say, GG's Florida, the boys were wreaking havoc that series, winky face. So pretty interesting, right? Is he implying, and he kind of is implying to some degree at the very least, that, well, Havoc should be considered back in the starting team, because before the season even began, Havoc, who is maybe one of the biggest dirty work players you could argue of last season, won a couple of events with the Florida Mutineers last season. They decided to drop him from the team and bring in this Neptune guy, right? And of course, Neptune definitely deserving of his spot. He has been phenomenal. But you look at the rest of the team, and Skies hasn't been performing where we expect him to perform. Slacked has had his moments, but hasn't exactly been spectacular. Awakening has been honestly hard carrying the team along with Neptune in most of these maps, and therefore it does make you wonder, what is Havoc doing there sitting on the bench? Maybe Envoy is implying that minus Slacked plus Havoc could be an option for this team, but well, if it continues going as it is, they're definitely going to have to look at some options, right? Because well, this team on paper looked so good. I love the Neptune pickup, but it's just not working out for these guys, right? So what is the potential solution? Envoy seems to be offering Havoc back in the team as a potential solution. He says right here, you are a clown, and you got to wonder how long it might potentially be until Havoc does get a spot back in the starting team here, if it does continue, if the squad does continue to underperform going forwards. So this was pretty interesting that Chrome points out yesterday then. So Zuma, after the match is finished, he does this, the Flank podcast, which of course is a pretty unfortunate time for me, but it goes up on YouTube afterwards. Clay says snaking cannot be G8 in this day and age. It should be abused as much as you can. So I'll play this clip for you guys in a second, but Clay actually did come out on Reddit there when this was posted, and I kind of said how this clip is misleading. It doesn't show the whole truth. So I went back and found a couple of clips from the VOD, and I'll just put those on screen for you guys as well. And I found some pretty interesting things, right? A couple of minutes after this clip comes out, he's also talking about the fact that, okay, Simp and co, well, he's effectively, they've been telling Cellium and the guys on FaZe, like, look, don't snake, it makes it difficult for everyone. Back in the day, it was very difficult to deal with. He also says that Cellium kind of instigated it with the 18-wheeler. I think it was on, what was the map called? Gridlock, right, in Black Ops 4. Cellium was abusing it on that. But then we go into Modern Warfare, and it's pretty difficult not to abuse, given you've got that P5 hill on some Petrograd where you kind of have to do it. But Cellium doing it regardless, even though his team's telling him not to. And then the question is like, okay, we can't blacklist FaZe because, I mean, what are we going to do? We can't, like, you know, we're not going to blacklist one of the best teams in the game from getting scrim practice. Therefore, we kind of just have to let it happen. But I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff. I'll play the clips on screen.
You think it can be GA'd? Be honest. Do you think it can be GA'd?
Not in this day and age, no. And so it should just be abused as much as you can. And I've always been of the opinion unenforceable GAs are stupid. And if I'm weak and I lay down and then I stand up because you're shooting my teammate, yeah, okay, everyone's like, that's not a snake. But if you just do it repetitively, but it's like...
The thing is, the way I look at it is like sometimes like if you try to not snake and you do get snaked, you're gonna lose full.
Person was snaking.
The main problem with it all is that in BO4 it was out. Then Cellium specifically, MC, I know he's in the chat, specifically snaked 18-wheeler head glitch 500 times in a row, created this huge discussion back then, and we shut it down. We were like, it's not allowed. Then Modern Warfare came around, and Petro P5 was a hill where it was impossible to not snake. You had to snake on P5 Petro. You had to, right?
No,
yeah. You had to. You couldn't stay alive in that hill unless you did.
Yeah.
And so we all, as a group of you know the GA committee, talked about it, and we're like, well, you just have to. So
but
we kind of.
That's like, ridiculous, though. That's ridiculous. Listen, you can't snake, but on this hill, you're good. You're good to go.
No. We allowed it like overall. We allowed it overall.
Oh, okay.
In MW, it was kind
no, that's
just
not
like,
what Austin
whatever.
said. No, Austin said yesterday that you can only snake on that hill.
Well, that was not my interpretation of it.
That's what he said. And I said, Manon, what the
That's what
man?
I'm saying. It's all
like,
interpretation.
come on.
Reality, it's like, dude, so say FaZe. Take FaZe as an example, right? Like Simp is like their rep. Like Chris is their rep, right?
Yeah.
And he talks to us. He's like, guys, I tell MC not to do it. He does it anyways. Like, what do you want me to do? And you don't control the people on your team. You know, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. So it's like, okay, what's the repercussion? Blacklist them? And it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna blacklist one of the top 3 teams in the game.
Yeah,
and then one team is like, these kids are good as. Like they'll just, like FaZe will just hit them up, and be like, yo, we're not gonna snake this scrim. Like, let's just play. And like somebody's gonna be like, hell yeah, great practice. Let's play them. So there's no like punishment or like anything you can enforce because like nobody's would blacklist you, which is the only repercussion we could possibly do with something we're GAing. So it's like, what are we doing here?
It's crazy.
Like
so this is what Zuma said a couple of days ago, and I think he's kind of on the money here, right? The problem is if Cell stops snaking, even if he does, even if Simp tells him to, and Cell actually just says, okay, look, I'm going to stop doing it, the whole you can do it too thing, like, okay, that's going to stop, and we're just going to go down the normal path, someone is going to snake him eventually, right? And it's so difficult to say. I think certainly you can be a little bit on edge, right? Let's say you decide not to snake, and you go into a series, okay, snaking, just to explain if you guys, I've been talking about it the last few days, I don't really go into detail on it right here. Effectively, crouch up and down behind a head glitch, some sort of cover, even go prone, and just as you're about to go prone, you stand up again. It makes you very difficult to hit, but it's certainly something that you can do. Actually, there is a clip of it right here that you can see on this Paris game. So, you know, question mark from Arcitys talking to Aqua and the guys. So you can see Fire right here behind this head glitch. He's just completely bombing up and down behind it. Yeah, making sure he's a very, very difficult target indeed to hit. So this is him right here. He's going crouch, stand up, crouch, stand up, crouch, stand up, and he can get all the information without really having to risk his life because you're not exposing much of your body. And kind of the way the game works and the way the character models work, it's incredibly difficult to, well, kill you and sometimes even see you. Back in Infinite Warfare, if you did this, you wouldn't even be able to be seen behind the head glitch. This game, thankfully, it isn't quite as bad as that, but it's still very difficult to get around. And, well, clearly, Cellium likes to abuse this type of stuff. And the problem is that if Cellium or any of the other pros who are doing this on a regular basis decide to stop doing it, then, well, what happens if someone kind of looks like they're snaking from their perspective, right? Because as Clay mentioned in the clips, maybe I didn't show you this particular one, but he was talking about the fact that, okay, if you go prone, for example, to reload, then you stand up again. Like, okay, are we snaking now? Okay, that seems to be perfectly fine. But let's say we do that twice, or maybe you miss your reload, right? Maybe you go to sprint, cancel your reload, but you don't quite get it in time, and you have to do it again. Then, well, is that now snaking, right? Is that now GA'd? How are we going to GA that? How do you possibly enforce something like this? It's very much impossible to do, and that's kind of what Clay's point is, right? Like, it's unenforceable, therefore, like, you know, should everyone just abuse it? That's definitely an argument. I don't think it makes the game the greatest thing to watch when everyone's doing it, probably not the best thing to play either. But well, if you're playing against the Atlanta FaZe and Cellium's going to do it, what really are your options, right? You probably have to abuse this stuff back to him in order to actually have a chance of taking the guy down. So definitely some interesting discussion, I'm sure, to be continued to have over the coming days. But well, definitely some drama on the horizon once again when we go into a major tournament and it's like FaZe versus Dallas, or yeah, FaZe versus New York, maybe against Clayster, or FaZe even versus Los Angeles Thieves against Slasher and the guys. If you know, if Cellium's completely abusing this whole snaking mechanic in the game, I'm sure there's going to be some words said on the timeline once again. And well, it doesn't seem like he wants to stop anytime soon. And well, can you really blame him? It's a mechanic in the game. If he wants to abuse it, he can abuse it, and it's very difficult to GA because how can it even be enforced, as Clayster is talking about. Just to finish off the video with the things, of course, related to the major. This is the bracket we looked at. OpTic, Subliners, Thieves, Gorillas in the first round of the winner's side. Day 1 schedule, pricing structure. So this is the day 1 schedule. I actually think they changed this somewhat because I looked on the Pick'ems website a couple of days ago and I think it was saying that there was 4 games on Wednesday. Now there's just 2 games on Wednesday. So 2 games on Wednesday are both elimination games. Ultra Royal Ravens, Surge versus the Mutineers. The losers of these games will just instantly be out of the tournament. Then we go into Thursday. I think on Thursday there's the 2 winners game matches and then there's 2 losers matches. So there's 4 games on Thursday starting at the same time. So starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. GMT. That means it's going to finish pretty late here in the UK, but maybe it is what it is. They probably have to have some days with 4 matches to even make this whole format work. Then again, you could argue that they could do 3 on Wednesday, 3 on Thursday, but then they would have to still do Friday with 4 games. So I think it goes 2 games on Wednesday, 4 games on Thursday, 4 games on Friday, then 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, and the grand finals beginning on that Sunday at, I believe, 6 p.m. Eastern. So pretty much everything goes the same way. Every single day starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, so it's pretty consistent, and hopefully it doesn't start too much after 3 p.m. Eastern, you know, with all the pre-show and that type of stuff that tends to happen. This is also the prize pool as well, so the prizing structure this season was changed somewhat. The World Championship prize pool this season is actually quite significantly reduced, but in turn for that, we now get a significant increase in prize pool for the major tournament. So these really are a big deal. $500,000 on the line for this major number 1. First place gets $200,000, and well, 9th through 12th get no prize at all. That's why all these seeding matches have mattered so much. Enjoy to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.